Thank you. I'm here today with Emily Cade. She is the writer of 10 Steps to Love, a script that was found on Inktip. Emily, thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Just for people who don't know, could you describe what it was like for you? Did you put your log line on Inktip, which is one of our
hmm
givers, and then what happened? You waited a little bit and a company reached out to you. How did it all happen?
Yeah, well, I had it up, and it was my first script that I'd written, and first script on Inktip. And after about like 5 months or so, I had someone contact me wanting to option it, and I was very excited. However, I hated to do this, but after talking with the team for a while, it wasn't a fit, which was so hard because it's like your first script. I was gonna get paid for it. It was gonna get made. Um, well, at least pitched. So I did pass, and I think it was a good decision because about 4 months later, another producer contacted me, and she loved it, and she bought it, and then they had it made in South Carolina. So
Wow.
that was really cool.
I give you such credit. You knew when to walk away. You knew what was best for your project.
Yeah, yeah, that's very hard though. I mean, but yeah, I did. So
Yeah. Oh, good for you. I think there's a lesson in that for all of us. If something doesn't feel right, you're the creator, you know, consider all
yeah,
options and yeah. Do you remember what your log
right.
line was for it? Um,
Oh, I'm sorry.
did I put you on the
It was,
spot?
yeah, it was something like a woman who uses a 10 step list to find everything in her life, tries to use it for love, but backfires, or love doesn't take lists. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
brilliant. And how long did it take in production wise? Do you remember how
So
long it took to shoot?
it's funny because and I think every production is different, but once they purchased the script, like I was told I'd be kept in communication, but I really was. Oh my
Oh,
goodness, they have a trailer, or oh, they're shooting. So let's see, I think maybe 6 months after they started shooting, and then 6 months from then there was a trailer, and then I don't know, 6 to 8 months maybe, I saw it was on Roku. So yeah.
wow. Wow, how
Yeah,
gratifying.
it was. It's funny, and I'm sure anybody who's seen their work be developed, I mean, I was very grateful. And it's kind of surreal, and also it's kind of you're watching it, and like sometimes it's like amazing because they're saying things that were in your head, and then sometimes they do it different than you would have, and it's kind of hard to watch. But my husband's really supportive, and I was like, oh, that part, I don't know. And he was like, babe, he's like, this got made. This is awesome. And it shows a lot of your work. And so yeah, overall it's awesome, but it's an experience.
Yeah, I'm sure. So they didn't ask you for rewrites. They just bought the script and 6 months later.
Well, with this project, they were gonna have me do a rewrite. But then I didn't hear from them, and they kind of just did it on their own.
Oh,
Um, and it was a small rewrite, but honestly, I was fine with it. Like it was my first sale, and I really just wanted to go with everything and just kind of see what the experience was like, and so that was
wow.
fine.
Yeah, yeah. I have to ask, is there any basis in real life events for you in this script? Any autobiographical pieces or inspired by someone you know?
Not really. I mean, I consider myself a strong and funny woman, and the lead character was as well.
Right.
And when I am writing, I do try to pull from truth. I mean, I think everybody does. But this was it was kind of a romantic comedy, and it has a type of like everything, a structure to follow and something. But no, it wasn't really based in truth.
Okay.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm just always curious, where things come from. Like I often wonder if things are channeled or, you just get a little inspiration and then follow a thread where it takes you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How long did it take you to write?
Well, I have four kids and seven and under, and I started writing it when gosh, I don't even know, before I had my third. And it was my first one, so it took me a very long time. I wasn't really aware of. I just dove into it, and at the time, I really loved Hallmark movies, and I was like, I think I can write one. And so that was kind of my jumping off point. And I didn't know structure though, so it took me a long time. And finally, when I finished it, I hired a script consultant, and he had tons of notes, which I was very grateful for. But also, being my first script, I mean, obviously there were tons of things he had comments on. That's when I really got a grip on structure. And then how long did it take me to write it? I don't know, 18 months maybe. Um, After that though, after kind of realizing how important structure was, I've since like I I mean I've learned so much. I have read so much, and bottom line is structure gives you freedom. And I understand why people don't think so, but once they learn it, I think you see what a friend it is to you when you're writing. It's so helpful.
Oh, you cut out there for a second.
Oh, I
So,
was just saying that structure gives you freedom, and
yes.
I understand why people feel like it doesn't. But when you really, really learn what a friend it is, you couldn't do it without it.
Yeah, no, and it sounds like you came across a great consultant. And I believe also, see, that's why I love doing these interviews because I believe there's nuggets of wisdom for all aspiring writers out there and even established writers as well, because it's always good to go back and review, the knowledge, others have accumulated as well. I wonder, so you spoke about Hallmark movies, but what else inspires you?
So what I really love to write. So the first two I did were Hallmark ish, that type, because it was fun and the structure is a little more like decided, and so you can kind of like hit the beat. Like some stuff is decided for you. But my favorite is to do like real. Just it's. I love to take something really fun, like whether it's a zombie apocalypse or like a haunted something or something big, and that's really the vehicle for relationships. Like there's so many things I feel like as people that we I think almost everybody feels like they're weird or they're the only one or they, you know, myself included. And I think when you see a movie and you see somebody like you, then you feel like, oh my goodness, no, I'm not the only one. And you also see something that you thought was like a bug is really a feature. Like people who have struggles, but then you see that struggle, they use it to their advantage, which is almost every movie. And I think when it's done right and somebody can relate, it makes a huge difference. And that's why it's always important. I know, and again, I'm sure every writer, strives for this, but to just be as real as
Mhm.
possible. Like the vehicle part doesn't have to be real, like whatever it is, zombie or space or whatever. But the meat of it, I mean, I think for me has to be super real, if
Yeah,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
totally. Like the macro could be whatever, but it's the micro
Yeah.
that really knits it all together and brings people in and is relatable.
Yeah, because like also I've just noticed in life, like, you know, when you're younger, you see things like, oh, you'll get married, you'll have a baby, you'll go to a funeral, someone will die. You Everybody, kind of like when you watch people or TV, like growing up, it's a certain way. But when you experience it, it's totally different. And you have like it you kind of expect to have this one emotion. But like when you experience it, nothing is bad, only good, only sad, only funny. It's all kinds of things. And I try to bring that to my characters because I think it's so important, and I think that's that's just how it is. Like it's not as like there's nothing if you make a choice to make it one dimensional, like for a certain character, that's fine too. But like I like to show that things are not the way, they're not the one shiny little polished version that you see. It's different.
Yeah, multifaceted, and like you said, nothing is neither good nor bad, and it's all what you make of what's happening to you at the end of the day. Yeah.
Right,
Um,
right. Or not just good or bad. It can be, yeah, right.
right, right. What is next for you? Like, so you make this movie, you're excited. How did you let me just ask, how did you celebrate? Like, you get the news, you liked the new people that came on board to produce it. How did you celebrate? What did you do?
Well, it's funny because like I moved out here to be an actress. I'm in LA, and I loved pursuing that. But once I had kids, it just wasn't there. Like I didn't want to miss out on the family portion. But I'm still creative, so I fell into writing, and I didn't tell anybody I was writing except for my husband because it's just like I know when you're an artist and you're pursuing something like that, it's like hard to have people keep asking you about it, or you kind of feel like a failure when you're like they're like, oh, how's the writing going? You're like, great, same as last time, nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I sold the script, my husband and I don't even remember. We probably went to dinner or something. I don't, but it wasn't until my parents came to visit me after I sold the script that I told them I was writing. I sold a script, and they were super excited. And so yeah, and now I that's what I do. So I mean, I tell anybody, but
Yeah.
you're kind of like protective of it because whatever. Because so
It's hard. It's hard to find that balance between, hey, I want to tell the world, and
yeah,
but oh, the world is going to come along and say, yes, Emily, I like what you did. I think I'm going to do my version of it now too. You
sure, sure,
know.
sure. Yeah.
Can totally relate. What is your so without giving anything away, what is your next project? If you do want to talk about it a little bit, if not, you can tell me as well.
Well, I have a finished one I'm currently trying to sell. It's I'll just say it's a twist on a Christmas a Christmas story.
Okay.
Not the Christmas story, but a twist on like a anyway. And then I have two others that I'm writing that I love. It's so fun. Like that's how you have like a good story, or at least you're in a good flow, like when you just like love it. Um and they're each kind of like I said, they have a really crazy like vehicle that they're in, but it really just comes down to the characters. And so yeah, that's what's so cool about writing. I feel like I don't know, when you're writing, it's just so like freeing. You can take a character and like you anything can happen. And it's just like I really love it. And I really love that I'm doing it. Because it's not. I think a lot of people, and I understandably so, like, no, because it's like it's hard and difficult on a bunch of different levels. But but I say if you're inclined towards it, take one step, read one book, read one script, and then you're like, wait a minute, I can do this. So
I think that's great. Yeah, no, that's so important because if not, we could just be in our head too much. So yeah,
hmm
to get out there and read somebody else's script or read a book to kind of just like open up the doors and give you that encouragement. Definitely. I think
totally.
yeah, yeah. What inspires you like to watch as well? Like, like what are you into aside like from the Hallmark? It seems like you have
Oh,
a wider breadth. What else are you looking at out there?
there's obviously so much. That's why we're all binging all the time. But my favorite writer director is Mike Flanagan. He does that The Hill House, Blythe Manor, um, Midnight Mass, all that. And he does what I want to do, which is he takes these like uncomfortable or very scary or like haunted or like vehicles. I hate to keep using that word, but that's just the best way. But it's like what the world is, but it like represents so much more, and it represents people's insecurities and like the things that hold them back. And um it's just so real. And also I was raised in the church. I'm a Christian. I raise my family in the church, and Mike Flanagan does the same. He brings that into his stuff, like the kind of the like being torn sometimes between like what your moral compass says, and then what you maybe want outside of that, or trying to be one way, and it's difficult. um Maybe not, you don't feel like you're good enough or whatever, all types of things, which you can feel with or without having faith. But I like
Sure.
Mike Flanagan because his work is just, his work isn't Christian work, but he always puts like the church into that. And I think a lot of people relate to it, whether they currently go or not.
Mhm.
Um, it's just so many different perspectives, and he does such a good job. He's such a wonderful job. Uh,
Yeah.
I wish I could meet with him and chat with him, because man, if you haven't seen his work, like just go to Netflix and watch all his stuff. He's
I
really
will.
like, yeah, and another thing he does that I like to do is with like, I don't know, immortality and death, and with disaster and stuff. He just really has a interesting perspective on it. So it's really moving.
It's I always like I know like they call things faith-based or something,
Yeah.
but like to me it can go so much deeper than that, and I think it's almost done even better when it's not labeled that, and it's not like, it's a horse going with just like blinders on, but it's like opening it up to the levels that are in, society. There's always, I believe, the choice of whether to go with God or not, you know.
I completely like when it's, yeah, because when you're writing a story, you don't like, people and characters and life, it runs the gamut, and like
Mm.
no one person feels the same way, and like it, yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, and yeah, I if you can tell a story, if you can truly tell a story and try and follow the way it goes, and I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's sometimes hard to, but yeah, and each, that's what's cool about each writer, is you everybody comes from, a different perspective, and if you can really be true to your perspective. And one other thing I want to say, and I don't know if this is not off topic, but one thing since I've started writing that I really love is like, whenever someone's talking to me, whether they're like unpleasant or kind or whatever, or a stranger, I really love to listen. And I find myself asking so many questions, because something that in my life I might, be like, this is great, or push it aside or whatever. Like, people's perspectives and why they do things are so interesting.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and what drives them. And like, I know I did it for my writing, but I found that it makes me appreciate people and give people a lot more chances than maybe I would, like,
Totally. Like, it's almost like as you're walking through life, you're doing research
yeah,
on what people's experiences are like, what they're ingrained with, what informs their decisions. Yeah, totally. I always say that, myself. Like, I went to school for psychology, but even though I'm not doing anything related to that, I think it's such a great basis for everything, for the arts,
yeah,
to just really try to, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's some good advice for writers out there too, to even read a psychology book every once in a while,
maybe.
pick up
And
the DSM.
sometimes I feel like I'm like being, because like I sometimes, if you especially like if you see the same people a lot, whether you interact with them or not, like they seem really gruff or unpleasant, but then you're like, but why is that
Yeah.
their exterior? And like sometimes I take so much away. Or like I'll look up on YouTube just like like interviews with somebody. I like to look at, like real stuff, and I
Mm.
feel like it's stealing, because I'm getting so much stuff, and like I can't wait to use it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, it also helps, like if you like when you go somewhere you don't want to go, but then you're like, oh, this might be a chance to like listen to someone and get a new perspective. I think that's super cool.
Oh yeah, you go, even like if, if you're fortunate enough to travel someplace new, there you go. You have
Yeah.
a treasure trove of, new material to pull from, new characters to try to create, and yeah, new
Yeah.
experiences to speak with you and inform your work. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's a great and inspiring place to leave off on.
Oh, thank you.
Unless
Thank you
you have
for
anything else to add. Um,
no, except I will say if you haven't written yet and you want to read some books on structure, do yourself a favor and then do it.
Amen. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much, Emily. I've really enjoyed speaking with you. Thank you for your
Same here.
time.
Have a great
Thank you.
day.
Thank you. You
Bye.
too. Thank you. Bye.